Rap again. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Everybody in the club with a half an ounce. I meant coke, dumbass, not weed. Sit down. We don't roll shit. Better axe around. D12 rolls the bomb to stash in town. Good God Almighty. Mm. Oh, fuck you, Tunnel Blick. This is the worst VPN I've ever used. Really and truly. Alright, let me fix this up. Let me fix you up a plate of collard greens. What we got there? Get them collard teas. Up. Day 20. Your comments and suggestions thus far. I can't believe I haven't automated this somehow. I can absolutely believe I haven't automated it. I hate like doing any kind of work. uh, blah. Blah. JVC. Wow. And a message. Enter. Cool. All right. That's done. Shout out to the person who has a deep yearning for epic fantasy at 5:19 a.m. in the morning. Got to get up and go to work. All right. And once again, back it's the incredible Rhyme Animal. So chapter 1.8 has been a week in the doing. So we're just going to run through this real quickly. And then I need to rewrite the ending to this chapter. Hopefully it will not take forever and a day. Check out this arc in his shirt. Loving it. All right, hold on. Did I let everybody know what we're doing? Best to know what you're doing before your life gets ruined. Who is this idiot? Who is? Some dunce. Yeah, somebody is recommending Cystane Ultra eye drops for long IRCing sessions or writing sessions. I have to tell you, they're incorrect. Cystane Ultra is full of like preservatives and horse shit that'll fuck with your eyes. It's better to get those little individual use drops, in my view. But do what's right for you, because like it's just that Cystane shit burns your eyes after a little bit. My optometrist was always like, yeah, you got to get those single-use little droplets, and they do seem to work a little better. It's convenient to have them in your pocket or whatever the fuck. Logic, where you at? I got to tell you, right now, Big Spaithiwa caught the ass end of that. Hell yeah. Big Spaithiwa creeping up on you, 43 to 45, but I don't see him around here today. So let's see where we've gotten in chapter 1.8. I know Milkness was like, there have been some changes to it yesterday. This was a week of rewriting just for this one chapter, but I'm pretty happy with what we've got so far. So it's RAPAXORIS by, let me see, never seen the single-use ones. Oh, he's been working his ass off right there. That's all right. We'll just let, we did determine, you weren't here for it yesterday, but the Edit Ace hat that we dole out for RAPAXORIS is going to be basically the Edit Ace hat that you have, but it's going to be reversed. So the hat is yellow, and the Edit Ace part is black. Cut bread and FM radio. Yeah, I guess there's no Amazon.co.nz. See, here in America, KKK, essentially any product you want You can just pick it, and fucking Amazon slaves will deliver it to your door, dragging it along with the giant blocks of stone that they're building the fucking pyramid to Bezos with. Yeah, we're gonna have a giant space pyramid to Bezos built in the heartland of our country, and it'll become our new capital and the center of our organized religion, where we'll worship his dynasty for the next 40 years until we're conquered by China. So anyhow, yeah, here I know it ain't the case in New Zealand. Like shit won't just appear at your door by magic. You have to actually go out, fuck a sheep, and obtain the item, which is very barbaric, but that's also a charming little country. You just roll right out of your hobbit hole and set off on a quest for the one Nuva ring. All right, anyhow. The log method they use for Rapa Nui's giant logins. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Those big rollers. All right, so let's begin. This is RAPAXORIS by Zach Z. Wisey. We're going to reread this chapter for the umpteenth time. This is the last time I'm rereading this fucking chapter. Balance in all things. Oh, gumboots. I haven't heard that for a while. Balance in all things. As the wheel of fortune lifted the old man and the thief, it rolled over the four fools in dogged pursuit. El Shalah's party reached a serpentine stretch where the Rakar River ran low. Their long canoe became a liability. The four travelers had to disembark. El Shalah's party reached a serpentine stretch, where the Rakar River ran low, and their long No, there's no comma. The long canoe became a liability. The four travelers had to disembark often to scramble over stones and muddle up riverbanks. Revel hacked a path through the bramble, while Yellow Hat and Stirs lugged the heavy boat, cursing him with every step. They slogged on, They slogged on until even the bard was miserable. Yellow Hat pestered El Shalah for more cane hourly. He was refused every time. As the day burned on, his eyes narrowed into reptilian slits. The fiend was stirring. Revel ordered Hat to switch places with Stirs. Revel ordered Hat to switch places with Stirs at the prow so they could all keep eyes on him. At the head of the canoe, Yellow Hat shivered and hissed poisonous little mutters upriver. The Rakar babbled along with him. Okay. Yeah, the comma. You do want a comma on they slogged on, to clearly differentiate between the two. Blah blah blah. Until. Behind Yellow Hat, Stirs the Hook looked daunted. I just like calling him the Bard. It's like they got Shakespeare up on this motherfucker. Behind the Bard, Stirs the Hook looked daunted. He flinched at every rustle on the riverbank and got lost, peering into the darkness between the trees. None of them were comfortable, but Stirs was completely out of his element. It was the first time in his life he'd ever left Tinkerton. When a bear nosed its way out of a blueberry bush to peer at the canoe, Stirs screamed in terror. The others laughed so hard they nearly capsized. Stirs the Hook was a hard, brutal man on the docks of Lass. On the Rakar, he was hopeless at everything but rowing. Luckily, there was ample rowing to be done. Yellow Hat and El Shalah contributed what they could, but the real work fell on Stirs and Revel. With tireless strokes, the two men drove the canoe upriver. To take her mind off her aching shoulder... Yeah, I feel like... hold on. All morning, the two men drove the canoe upriver with tireless strokes. Okay. Yeah, we really put some work. I mean, this is really like me going back to like, hey, I wrote this 5 years ago. What have I learned since then? All morning. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't like all morning. Let me see what I had originally, because yeah, this is a real danger of meddling to metal. Yeah, I don't like that all morning. With tireless strokes, the two men drove the canoe upriver. Yeah, to take your mind off our aching. So, I mean, the big thing is like the transition between these two paragraphs is a little abrupt. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, I think I don't have a better way to do it right there. We're like at the level of tightness where I'm gonna need like a month of time off of the work to do significant improvement. To take we already used drifting. We already have drifting right here. To take her mind off our aching shoulders, El Shalah drifted her eyes across Revel's broad back. To try and forget her aching shoulders, El Shalah drifted her eyes across Revel's broad back and wished they were alone. Salacious thoughts swept her back to Eras' bedchamber. There, the daydream foundered. She rode harder to drive away the thought and became caught in a terrible cycle of rumination. She would redouble her efforts, tire, and slip back into fantasy. The worry, the worry was always there, ready to pounce. Each time she envisioned telling Arath about losing the gate orb, the confrontation grew darker in her mind's eye. After a dozen repetitions, dying on the desolate river seemed mild by comparison. No, foundered is a different word, which specifically means a boat in trouble. Here, let's. Don't take my word for it. I like that we're at Flightpedia. Yeah. So, oh, yeah. A foundering horse, likely to collapse to the ground. Yeah. So this is the older one. Um, Founder is to become disabled or to go lame, to give way to collapse, to become submerged or sink. So
Foundering.
yeah, this is the version of the noun that we're using, but we did have to use two separate dictionaries to get it. It's largely archaic, but when you're writing fantasy, archaic words are actually to your benefit a little bit because they can put the reader a little in the sense of this is something that's happening long ago. You know, we're using words that people don't use any longer because we're going back to a. Oh yeah, that was Era, who's a Navy guy. No, Spaethiwa is not a sailor, but Era is a former USN. How's my fucking ad block not working? Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna fix this shit right now. Avert your gaze. App Store. Yeah. Oh, okay, it's just not installed on this fucking machine. That's why it was so annoying. Welcome, blah, 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 blah. Safari preferences. Extensions, okay. Safari. Edit. Extensions. And okay, cool. Blah, blah, blah. Multiple blocking categories. Continue. Why are they jacking me off? Cancel. No, I don't want to. Cancel. I don't want fucking premium. Yes, it works. Blah, 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 blah. And then turn on. Ugh. All right, so. Yeah, sorry. I just want to make sure I didn't fuck anything over there. Yeah, I just got so sick of seeing fucking advertisements on that whole thing. Spathiwa is a surfer in his own right, in that he's a cyber sailor. But no, the Navy guy is definitely Era. All right, so I'm going to quit this guy. Don't save. Bah. What? Are you fucking serious? Yellow Hat twisted to face her, breaking the cycle. Oh, that's why we have that. Yeah. Yeah, fucking allergies, man. Yeah, that's just how it goes. It'll go away. As I drink gallon after gallon of mucus. Each time she envisioned telling Arath about losing the gate orb, the confrontation grew darker in her mind's eye. After a dozen repetitions, dying on the desolate river seemed mild by comparison. Yellow Hat twisted to face her, breaking the cycle. What is that? What is that? He asked. Okay, and then this is a lowercase c. Oh, it's not fixing itself. All right, hold on. Let me just blow my nose. I'll be right back. God. The sleepy dog. All right. What is that? He asked. Al-Shalah scowled back. El-Shalah scowled. Yellow Hat had interrupted a particularly lurid phase. She raised her oar, ready to brain the bard if this was another lame ploy to wheedle Cain. Oh, shout out to whoever gave me ploy there. This was no act. The day grew dark and an unsettling hum rose above the rush of the Rakar. Stirs pulled in his oar and reached for his hook. Revel drew his sword. With no one rowing, the strong current began to push the canoe back downstream. The four travelers scanned the riverbanks, searching for the source of the strange sound. A bee landed on that blade of El-Shalah's oar. Then another. Then there were a dozen. The drone grew louder, and the air filled with darting streaks. Ah! El-Shalah cried. Her voice was drowned out by a million buzzing wings. Bees. In an instant, the canoe... Bees. In an instant, the canoe was engulfed by a cacophonous swarm. Bees blotted out the sun and obscured the landscape. Stirs panicked and sunk low to the planks. Revel rose to his feet and flailed his sword at the brood, impotent as if he'd attacked his own shadow. His efforts only rocked the boat. "Stop it!" El-Shalah shouted. She choked as a wayward bee flew. It is a wayward bee, but what if we had that extra E? She choked as a wayward bee flew into her open mouth. A living hail of insects bounced off every surface. Stirrers released his death whip on the gun. Stirrers released his death grip on the gunwale and yanked Revel down by his shirt. As El-Shalah sputtered and spat out bits of bee. While the others were thrashing about, Yellowhat sat at the prow, staring silently into the swarm. The bees were most concentrated near the Bard. Droves of them landed on him and crawled under the brim of his shapeless hat. Droves of them landed on him and crawled on the brim of his shapeless hat. He didn't seem to care. Somehow, no one had been stung yet. Oh yeah, the Oprah bees gif where they're flying out of their hell mouth. We just don't have enough hell mouths in popular culture. And the satanic maw. Somehow, no one had been stung yet. The swarm encircled the canoe, trapping them in the noisy eye of a bombinating cyclone. Hell yeah. In the relative calm, El-Shalah could hear a shift. The drone was fluctuating, rising and falling in a senseless song. Yellowhat was nodding along. So I want something that means from coming in every direction, but omnipresent is not correct. Oh, I like pervasive drone. The pervasive drone fluctuated. B B B B B. The word is trying way too hard. Yeah. In the relative calm, El-Shalah could hear. Now, El-Shalah could hear a shift in the pervasive drone. The swarm's pitch rose and fell in a senseless song. Yellowhat seemed to understand. His mouth moved, but his words were lost in the dirge. So we have some time words here. Now, El-Shalah could hear this. Okay. Very much in her POV. What do you think? Do you think bombinating is trying too hard or omnidirectional? Omnidirectional is like a little too clinical. I like pervasive a lot better. The other thing that pervasive does that omnidirectional does not is pervasive really gets up in that ass and like lets you know that this is something, it's not good, that it's all around you. Oh, yeah, I got you. Where the swarm was thickest, El-Shalah could faintly make out the outline of a woman's face. Yeah. Where the swarm was thickest, El-Shalah could faintly make out the outline of a woman's face. A quiver ran through the air, as if the The droning built into a furious roar. A quiver ran through the teeming air, as if the brood was considering the bard's words. The droning built into a furious roar. Yellowhat had angered the swarm. Stirs the Hook was the first to be stung. As he swatted the back of his neck, another stinger pierced his palm. A second later, he'd been stung a dozen times, and that was enough for the Hook. He was stung a dozen more times, and no. I love that. Gory entrails. Oh, that was the other part of it too. Like, no, previously, like, say that we had written the story in the 40s, everybody would be like, "Ah, yeah, bees, fuck them." But now, the reader will be like, "Well, what's it going to do to the flowers in their biosphere?" Napalm. All I'm saying is, like, you can use just like eye drops that come in like a little bottle for a while and everything, but eventually they'll start to hurt your eyes. I don't think that they're really meant for long-term use, and it really feels to me like my eyes feel gritty after one of those would be like start to get old. Then I started using like these single-use drops where they come in a little thing, and they expire within a year or so. So don't buy like a billion of them or whatever, but try those out. Yeah, everybody loves those fucking bees. Why will they do that? Well, so my optometrist basically said, like, listen, you know, they have to put preservative into these things, and your eyes don't like the fucking preservative that's in them. The drops that I use are basically just sterile saline that provides like occasional relief. The other thing is, like, after laser surgery, I was suffering from a pretty significant dry eye, and I would use this ophthalmic ointment at the night, and that shit really works. It's like paradoxically, it's like a salty ointment that you rub into the inside of your eyelid, and it promotes tear formation, and it's really good at it. Yeah, yeah. Use the bottle within a couple of months, man. It's tiny. Yeah. All I'm saying is, if you can, just go to a pharmacy and see if they have like single-use preservative-free drops. Try those out for like a week and see if you feel different. Because like what I found was I was having to use the eye drop thing all the time, and when I switched to the preservative-free ones and like use this ointment for a little bit, then basically my eyes would kind of heal up on their own, whereas I felt like the other stuff was just prolonging how painful it was. I used to cry when my ex used this salty ointment on my his eyes. I try never to nail somebody in their eyes, but anyhow, I'm neither here nor there. That was enough for the hook. No, I don't like only El Shala. Uh huh. Blanche. Yeah, that's the golden girl I would be, the whore. In a second, he'd been stung a dozen more times. That was enough for the hook. Stirs leapt overboard with a wild howl and sank into the Ricard like a stone. Revel yelped. Mm-hmm. Oh, I want something like They Were Finished Without Her. No, I like the Gauntlet of Bees. No, Gauntlet is too because they have to row after this. They can't get too fucked up. As fun as it is to describe this, we're gonna have to reconcile the fact that like 100 stings would usually put somebody in the fucking hospital right here. So we'll need to like um, Yeah. No, a gauntlet includes the glove part and can go up to the forearm for the most part. For it to be a gauntlet, it does need to have some of that forearm thing, but it also includes the handy part, IMO. Only El Shalah had the wits to do something. Yeah. So we want to talk about how she didn't panic. What the fuck is that? Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Mm-hmm. So let's look into like something like lucid, calm. So she's not placid because this is yeah. We want something like cool-headed, um, unruffled, unflappable. I like self-possessed right there. Observing the panic. Mm-hmm. They had all lost their minds except for El Shalah. Mm-hmm. They had all lost their minds, except for El Shalah. She had to save her idiot henchman. I like that. Mm-hmm. She summoned her resolve to save her idiot henchman. Idiot henchman is like a little much. Mm-hmm. I do like seeing her henchmen had lost their minds. Her henchmen had lost their minds. Only El Shalah could save them. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Her henchmen were undone. It fell to El Shalah to save them all. I like that much, much better. I'm going to give you a point there, Milkness, for undone. Boom. We do give them points. Hell yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One of the things about an adventure story is that you always want to have opportunities for each individual there to demonstrate some kind of value to the collective, right? It's just like a critical part of any Robinsonade or whatever. These stories are always instructive that, like, oh, the banker guy made a radio out of a coconut or whatever. Outside, I don't know if Thurston Howell was the third was ever of any use on Gilligan's Island. But essentially, like when you're doing a D&D based story, everybody has to have their role and display some use at some point there. Under incredible duress, she began to invoke a spell. El Shalah dismissed the bolt. El Shalah's henchmen were undone. It fell to her to save them all. And this is like our one moment in the entire story of yay feminism, because she's not very useful for the remainder. But nobody is very useful for the remainder. They are very much overpowered. Yeah. Under incredible duress, El Shalah began to invoke a spell. She dismissed the bolts of pain that shot through her body and hissed crackling dicta through clenched teeth. Arath had trained her for this since she could walk. Pain was power. Fear was focus. Mm-hmm. I wonder how she gets neutralized, why and how. It'll come into play. And she's never like neutralized, right? We never want our characters to be totally without agency, but definitely, these are some little league players. I'm always fascinated by the idea of characters getting into things that are significantly beyond them, because then they have to grow and improve in order to get better. I thought she was the protagonist. No, she's not the. Really, it should be a little unclear which is the direct protagonist. She's the protagonist of this scene because it's from her point of view, but our point of view will shift throughout the story. We do not have like a clear, strong protagonist. We could potentially select El Shala and work towards her being the protagonist, but it's too multi-threaded. It's much more of a Game of Thrones style swapping protagonist, and like good things are not going to happen to everybody. The spell was cast. Mm-hmm. You're rooting for Stirs and Yellow Hat more than Little Miss Fuck-a-Lot. Oh, look at you. Fucking kink shaming her. And she likes to boss around an oaf. Mm-hmm. Fueled by her anguish, the spell surged into existence. The river rose the river rose around the canoe in a frothing ring and crashed overhead. The river rose around the canoe in a frothing ring, guided by our will. Above them, she bent the wall of water into a thick dome. Fueled by her anguish, the spell surged into existence. The river rose. The river rose around the canoe in a frothing ring, guided by her will. Above them, she bent the wall of water into a thick dome. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She channeled the ring. Mm-hmm. Well, keep in mind, Rigel caused all this bullshit when he stole the fucking gate orb and wanted to unleash a mountain of demons. Check my IR. God damn it! What's on IRC? This better be important. Milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. That does sound exactly like Nance. LOL. And that also does sound like Boogeyman. you could you can post that shit if you want in the chat. I don't care. But LOL. Ugh. Mm-hmm. The ring crashed together overhead, forming a roiling dome of river water. I like that. All right, so the ring crashed together overhead, forming a roiling dome of river water that cut off the bulk of the swarm. Thousands of bees were trapped and drowned in her swirling ward. Better. We don't do private insults in this channel, only public ones. It was it was like a pretty hardcore, and not even like a Nance bash, but more like a Nance relate of some of the terrible things that she done. Like the Philo people have like such a storied history of drama, and I just feel like they lack like any of the warmth of LRH. It's weird that our pirate radio show about tricking people is like so much more heartwarming and friendly than Philo. Like the Philo people fucking hate each other. I don't understand why they're even in a chat together. They really despise one another. And there are a few people in LRH that despise each other, but for the most part, like I try to break it up and channel it into other places and so forth, and I don't let that shit fester. Because, you know, we all got to hang out together at some point. It is a constant source of amazement to me that one of the most like powerful, positive communities around is like hammered by the inflexible will. They always told you that LRH was like that, like a miserable shit pit where everybody hated each other. Now I really worked pretty hard to keep it like a nice community where people can chat freely. And there's not a lot of a big part of it is there's no ideological division. Like operators cannot ban you for your political beliefs. And if an operator has like a personal beef with you or something like that, and you're not breaking the rules or whatever, I will intercede and be like, hey, you know, you guys got to settle this elsewhere. And that objectivity to me, you can never be fair in a social group, right? There's always going to be some people who are outliers, some people who are getting a raw deal. But because I think it's generally accepted that the moderation there is particularly fair in the context of IRC, and they can see that the abuses of power aren't there in the same way. And if somebody gets squelched, everybody knows why. And generally, the public view is with what we're doing. Like there isn't strong disagreement with moderation decisions. Like that's kind of like the golden sweet spot for running a community. It'd be like, whoa, it must be bad over there if Philo freaks out. A lot of the Philo people freak out because a few of them were like so poisoned that we wouldn't let them chat there. Really and truly, like they tried to hack it, and people would be running like some of those same gimmicks that they ran in Philo over and over and over again, and they would get dinged by us, and we'd just be like, hey, you know, you just be yourself. You know, you don't have to entertain us. You don't have to run a gimmick and so forth. Just, you know, just chat like a normal person, and you'll be fine. And some people couldn't adapt to that, right? They couldn't. It was funny because they had created like this contrived online persona where they were like super smarmy all the time and always sarcastic and never took anything seriously. And sort of self-loathing about this activity that they were engaging in for like 10 hours every day. And they're like, yeah, IRC's bullshit, and so forth. And they like carried this, and they wonder why nobody wanted to like hang out with them and chat with them. And that's not the way that I view it. I'm like very happy to have like this amazing cast of characters that's always entertaining me with crazy shit during their day. I get to see so much stuff that I normally wouldn't. But yeah, anyhow, I don't want to get too into it. We do have to finish this chapter. All right, let's work. Guided by our will, the river rose around the canoe in a frothing ring. The ring. Guided by our will, the river rose around the canoe in a frothing ring. The wall of animated water crashed together overhead, forming a roiling dome that cut off. Oh, this is not a good sense. Okay. The other part of it is that we didn't write into this, but it would immediately become very dark within the thing. 'Cause it's already dark within the swarm, and 2 feet of water. 2 feet of it's like cloudy river water, and it'd be churned up by all the shit that's going on there. So yeah, it would become. All was dark inside the murky hemisphere. I like murky hemisphere. So the bees are still blocking out the sun. And additionally, so we measured this out. This is like a 2 foot thick wall of water between her and the primary light source, which is going to be the sun. Not and additionally, like it's all churned up and foaming and so forth. So yeah, it would become very dark. It was dark as night within the. Yeah, yeah. The murky dome snuffed the sun and squelched. The murky dome snuffed the sun and squelched the maddening dome. It was dark inside. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The stinging stopped, but there was no time to rejoice. Mm-hmm. It was darker still under the murky dome. So a few paragraphs before, we talk about how they were like cast into like some twilight, eerie darkness. You can almost never use the word eerie. Seriously, it just it's too hokey. Unfortunately, it's too like fucking Nick at Night. So yeah, sadly, even like like I think that's why fucking if you think about Dune, Frank Herbert would use like weirding all the time, where he would use eerie and so forth. And I think even then he was just like, this is played out. And eerie. Anytime that somebody would like introduce vibrato as they said a word, that word is trite. Get smart. Ugh. Guided by our will, the river rose around the canoe in a frothing ring. El Shalah bent the wall of water overhead, forming a roiling dome. Thousands of bees were caught and drowned in her swirling ward. It was darker still under the murky dome. Beneath the murky dome, the day grew darker still. The maddening drone was squelched down to the confused buzzing of individual bees. The stinging stopped, but there was no time to rejoice. In her haste, El Shalah made the ward. In her haste, El Shalah had made the ward too thick. In her haste, El-Shalad made the watery ward too thick. Her will was not strong enough to suspend so much weight for so long. The spell began to crack, pissing gouts of dead bees into the canoe. The dome collapsed. In her haste, El-Shalad made the watery ward too thick. Her will was not strong enough to suspend so much weight for long. The spell began to crack, pissing gouts of dead bees into the canoe. She tried to split the dome and push the two halves aside, but her strength was spent. The dome collapsed. I really like that. Water ward. That's so stupid. Oh, fuck, that's bad. That hurt. I have literally taken punches to the head that put me in less pain than that fucking water ward. I want to die. A wall of water crashed onto the canoe and smashed them beneath the surface. A wall of water crashed down and smashed the canoe beneath the surface. The wall of water crashed onto the canoe. Yeah. A great deluge crashed down, smashing the canoe beneath the surface. Mm-hmm. The dome collapsed and a wall of water crashed onto the canoe. They were all smashed beneath the surface. El-Shalad tumbled in the darkness. Oh, yeah, Yellow Hat keeps his hat, by the way. Somehow it's stuck on his head through this whole fucking thing. Critical to me. I mean, it's really kind of a Indiana Jones type thing, but he will never lose his hat throughout the story. Sturgis will never lose his hook throughout the story. El-Shallah will never lose her anal virginity throughout the story. I hope that's true. But yeah, he is like a fucking smurf. I like tempestuous, but that's not quite it. Mm. Agitated is close. Let's just. It's fine. El Shalah tumbled in darkness, too spent to swim. Before the void could swallow her, strong hands fished her from the river and dragged her to the shore. Mm-hmm. Burr, 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 burr. Burr, 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 burr. The dome collapsed and a wall of water crashed onto the canoe. They were all smashed beneath the surface. The dome collapsed and a wall of water crashed down. The long canoe and its rowers were smashed beneath the surface. El Shalah tumbled in darkness, too spent to swim. Before the void could swallow her, strong hands fished her from the river and dragged her to the shore. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. L. Da, da, da. Yeah. So let's do this later here. Boom. Lumpy. Huh. His face. Yeah. Oh, I'm just superb. Hat, are you all right? Oh, I'm just superb. You liked it before. Inane, redundant question. Oh, you fucking serious? Goddamn VPN. I got today. I'm gonna switch this to a different fucking VPN. I'm just so annoyed. Okay, let me tell you all about this great VPN called Nord. No, I need this one for something else, something secret. It's not very secret, but need cane. For the 100th time that day. Mm-hmm. Making some toilet tea. Nice. Nice. Yeah, look, that's deep. You fucking filthy savage. Ugh. All right, let's see. How do we get with this? The dome collapsed and a wall of water crashed down. I think we use wall of water like too much there. The dome collapsed in a deluge. The deluge slammed into the canoe, and El-Shalah found herself tumbling in darkness. Sinking it instantly. Perfect. I like that it's just like, immediately sinks that motherfucker. The dome collapsed. The dome collapsed in a deluge that slammed into the canoe. There. The dome collapsed and slammed into the canoe, sinking it instantly. El-Shalah tumbled in the darkness, too spent to swim. El-Shalah tumbled in the darkness beneath the river, too spent to swim. Before the void could swallow her, strong hands fished her from the river. Strong hands fished her from the Rakar and dragged her to the shore. She spent a long time coughing up black water and gasping for breath. Coughing up silt and gasping for breath. There we go. Because if you're coughing up something, it should be, yeah, I like that. El. Yellowhat kept saying her name. She tried to shut her eyes, but he would not relent. El! Gasped at the sight of Yellowhat. The hard-bitten bard's face looked like a swollen raspberry. He'd been stung 100 times or more. Hat, are you all right? Yellowhat blinked at the inane question. He motioned to himself with the old fishhook he'd been using to dig out stingers. Need cane, he reminded her, for the 100th time that day. She agreed completely. Yes, of course. Now she agreed completely. I like that. Yes, of course, she agreed completely. No. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, shit. Now I want a banana. Fuck. Bananas are good. Norm Macdonald has like this new leak clip of his supposedly woke humor, and like part of the whole thing is a retarded guy being happy. He's like, bananas are good, and it trips me up every time. It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Lumpias. Oh shit. Yeah, I like that flip food. Flip is also like one of the coolest names for an ethnic group. I don't care if it's a slur. It's dope. I want to be called a flip. Hell yeah. Although I've heard from numerous people that You're like signing in for a rocky road if you marry a Filipino woman. Maybe it's true, maybe it ain't. Need cane, he reminded her, for the 100th time. Yes, of course. Of course, she agreed. The pouches inside of El... The pouches inside El Shalah's robe were waterproofed. The cane was sealed in a tiny glass bottle. Okay. Bananas are the most troublesome item for grocery stores because they are the least predictable thing to sell. That's why bananas are almost always right when you walk in the door. Um, yeah, I think I've watched like every time Norm was on Conan O'Brien and Letterman like about a billion times. He's a funny fucking dude. I like all of them old weekend updates too. Um, yeah, I don't know, like bananas, and they go bad pretty quickly, and like they're easy to bruise. Yeah, it's a fucking weird fruit, and we love them, but they're not especially good for you either. Like the only thing I like about them is they're like a decent source of magnesium, which I need to harness my mutant powers. All right, anyhow. The pouches inside El Shalah's robe were waterproof. She kept the cane. Sodden robe were waterproof. She kept the cane in a tiny glass bottle. Yellowhead eyed her hungrily as she hunted for it. Fortunately, it was intact. The cane threads were delicate as saffron, iridescent black and dappled with tiny beads of violet sap. Minute beads of violet sap. Mm-hmm. Fiery Latina genetics. Hmm. Nearly everything had been lost. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would say fuck, by the way. Bee stirs. Don't interrupt her, Yellow Hat hissed. Mm-hmm. They would have to get a fire growing to dry their shit Would they use a fire? Because they have to get back to Rowan. They're gonna lose these fucking people. Um, Most of their supplies have been swept downriver. Mm-hmm. I already fixed that double quote. Nope, no, I didn't. Here. You caught it. There we go. 46. Mm-hmm. Got it. The fuck was that? Stirs asked. Mm-hmm. Want my fuck points? Oh yeah, you do get a fuck point. Spend it wisely. What the fuck was that? Stirs asked. Bees, Stirs. Don't interrupt her, Yellow Hat hissed. Oh, let's take out the here. You earned that, El Shala. Oh, he didn't earn that. Yeah. Yeah, he was the one that was like fucking talking to the weird swarm or wherever. He had earned it in the previous retelling, but can I use cached in that? So I think cached is to Urban Dictionary. To yeah. Let's check it out. How do you spell it? The state of a marijuana receptacle whose contents have been thoroughly exhausted. Some choose to incinerate the entire contents of the bowl until said marijuana has been dissipated, while others choose to repack as soon as it begins to adopt a black hue. Certain circles, particularly youth, have adopted the cash adjective as the universal term for a status of depletion. This bowl is cashed. Shall I repack? Mm-hmm. That's a good 2004. People have been saying this shit since. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We'll do that a little later, but old hippie taking the biggest bong rip in the universe, holding it for 60 plus seconds, and because the cane has an antihistamine effect. That's very strong. Coating his lungs like the inside of a coal furnace. God damn. That's kind of wild right there. Here, let me help, Al-Shalah said. She used the tiny tweezers from the cane cap to pluck stingers from his forearms. Okay. Let's take Revel out of the equation. Gnarly t-shirt. That's St. Paulus Metzvord. If you go to zachzyz.com, you can buy this very shirt, which is the cover from one of my books, The Master Arcan. Oh, look at this. Oh, I love that I can just reach. This guy right here. So, hold on. Oh, that's fucking wild. Ridiculous. Yeah, The Master Arcanist of the Crimson Citadel. Hell yeah. Yeah, I do them all myself. Where's Revel? So Stirs has to have some measure of respect for El Shalah as a Ras daughter. Um, he is too wary of her to call her a diminutive. There. So it's a good question. It's meeting day. Oh yeah, what's up, Big Spathy? We were just, I don't know if you were there for this, but you can see, loving it, loving it. It's gangsta shit right there. Um, Fucking Shant's gotta have his precious armor. I like that. Ah. Screenshot holding up the book. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's frame by frame. He would love to call her a dumb cunt, but he cannot because she'll melt his dick off. I like wrecked a little bit better because we used spent earlier. Elle was so wrecked she nearly refused. Cunt is a term of endearment in the archaic form. Oh, yeah, it's a cute little word. Oh, no, wiped out and yeah, weary is. Elle was so weary she nearly refused. Yeah. Mm, yeah, yeah. Hold on. All right. So I don't know where Spathy is coming out. Like, where are you in the story, Spathy? Points denied. Oh, yeah, I already. Where the fuck is that? Did I just not notice you until then? Okay. Where's Revel? Strewers jabbed his thumb over his shoulder in the direction of the river. After a moment, Revel's head popped up midstream. Fucking Shant's gotta have his precious armor. Mm-hmm. Split it and change here to stay still. I hate sand. It gets everywhere scene. What's that even from? I don't get it. But with stingers. The biggest stinger of all. God damn. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Haven't seen it. It's barely poison. His eyes had gone yellow. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, it's barely poison, he said. The swelling on his face was receding with uncanny speed. Cane's good for bee stings? Oh, I like jaundiced yellow. Actually, his eyes had gone jaundiced. Jaundiced is perfect. His eyes had gone jaundiced. Okay, cool. Give me 1 second, and I'm gonna make my own modest contribution to our water supply. Uh huh. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're very welcome to taking meth to stop itching. Methrowan. Here we go. So, congratulations, you're at 30. You're actually like getting up in there. with these comments and stuff. Fluttering the lids of. Nah. Stir shook his head. Nah, I'm good. Mm-hmm. Stir's apostrophe. All right, where's the apostrophe? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's still the dog. There we go. LOL. There, I'm back. A universal panacea, Hap proclaimed, fluttering the lids of his jaundiced eyes. Get your own, he growled at Stir's look of interest. Nah, I'm good. Stir shook his head. Oh yeah, that's absolutely a bad. Yeah, Spathywog gets the point. He was foist. Ooh, it's getting close as fuck. I love the speed race. I'm happiest when edits are close, so that like the lead can jump back and forth and stuff. A universal panacea, Hat proclaimed, fluttering the lids of his jaundiced eyes. Get your own, he growled. At Stir's look of disinterest. Nah, I'm good. Stir shook his head. Thanks for pulling it. Oh, hmm. I don't want to use possessively. Possessively is a word I almost one, it's an adverb, and then two, I think it's clear within the context. There we go. Wait. Oh, she was first. All right. Well, I'll give that back there. Boom, boom. Yeah, I was in the John. I can't keep track of all this. Get your own, he growled at Stir's sudden interest. Nah, I'm good. Stir shook his head. It's a hat race now. There we go. Thank you for pulling me out. El Shalah, thank. El Shalah said to Stirs. Was him. That was your boy. Stirs tilted his head at the river. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I like. I like that they're putting him on the outside, and the three of them are together. That will be important later on. And I like that like, he's still a cunt. That works for me. Yeah, Stirs agreed. Trudge is better than. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is fucking blackberry cucumber La Croix. Yeah, very testosterone-y drink. Yeah, I can feel myself growing ball hairs in my throat as we speak. Um, that was your boy. Stirs tilted his head at Revel. I can barely swim. He fished you out too, Hat. Below. On the shore below, Revel had collected all the bits of his armor and retrieved his backpack from the bottom of the river. He was uncoiling a length of rope. Get down here and help, Revel shouted up at Stirs. Stirs returned an obscene gesture. That doesn't quite work. Mm-hmm. The Chad Revel pulling out on everyone in the aftermath of Abomination. So yeah, bits is probably better than or pieces is probably yeah, pieces. Yeah, let me give you that one. Yeah, that is better. Indeed. We should give Spathy a point just for the Chad Bombination. That's fucking insufferable. No, Stirs would absolutely admit he can't swim. He's like, so here's the thing. One of the nice things about the Stirs character is throughout this story, Stirs will never boast, right? He never, that character will never brag or act like he's bigger than he is and so forth. While he is a thug, he's a thug who has like a strong understanding of what he is and what his role is and so forth. And it should be like one element of his charm that he doesn't have like a particularly over high opinion of himself. He knows like, yeah, I'm a fucking thug from the docks. What of it? So as we're working on the Stirs character, we want to identify places where he might think too highly of himself and so forth. He needs to be grounded in sort of like a sense of realism about his character and his upbringing and so forth. And he can be like a little dismissive of magic and so forth, but much more important is that he retains some of that that like low class humility. You know what I mean? So that should, and I mean, as we're doing this rewrite, we want to shape up the individual characters. Like we took out some of the places where Yellow Hat was talking like too thuggy, and we put some of that onto Stirs. Because Yellow Hat has traveled all over the place. On the shore below, Revel, we need to. They're climbing up. Okay, cool. And so I'm raising them up right there because I want them to be sort of figuratively looking down at Revel while he's doing all this work. Um, it just makes for it like it adds like the elevation to the scene. Does a little work for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. This is true. It throbbed constantly. Oh yeah. She inspected herself and found no stingers. She looked over her own welts and found no stingers. The torrent of water had blasted them away. Her robe had shielded her from the worst of the swarm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just want to have something of the aftermath of getting bitten up by a swarm. And I want to relate it a little bit to like the personal injury that she's having. All right, later, Spaethy-Wah. Thank thee for the help. And you need a point for there were none stuck in her, which I'm actively fixing. There we go, pig 44. Man, I can't believe how quickly like the day goes by. I like started at like just like 5 or 6 a.m. and now already I'm almost out of time. Still not done with this fucking chapter. The torrent of water had blasted them away. The worst sting throbbed directly on the knuckle of her left index finger. It was swollen to twice the size of the others. Let's make it a middle finger. And then let's make the flame trick that she does. With her right hand, she flicked out 3 fingers. It was like 3, 2. That number. Yeah, I went to sleep at like 8 o'clock. And did like a little bit of reading before bed, and I got a good night of sleep. But tonight I have to go out to a concert, and tomorrow morning may not be as good. So I should try to get that. Yeah. Fucking Shant's gotta have his precious armor. Stirs griped under his breath. You're covered in stingers, Stir. Stand still. Yeah. El-Shalah used the cane-capped tweezers to pluck the pulsing barbs from Stir's neck and arms. She looked over her own welts and found no stingers. The torrent of water had blasted them away. Her robe had protected her from the storm. Her robe had protected her from the swarm, somewhat. The worst sting throbbed directly on the knuckle of her left middle finger. It was swollen to twice the size of the others. Better. Hat? El Shala offered the tweezers to Yellow Hat, but he waved her away. It's barely poison, Hat said, beaming a saintly smile. The swelling on his face was receding with uncanny speed. Cane's good for bee stings? El Shala. Hat's wells shrank fast enough to watch them disappear. A universal panacea, Hat proclaimed, fluttering the lids of his jaundiced eyes. Get your own, he growled at Stir's sudden interest. Nah, I'm good. Stir shook his head. Mm-hmm. Did Hat just leave the stingers in? Yeah, that's all. He doesn't care. Mm-hmm. I don't know what band it's going to be. It's like one of these concerts that's in somebody's house and just like random people show the fuck up. It's supposed to be pretty chill. But we'll see. It'll probably be some kind of like froofy world music. But sometimes they're good. I think there is a rigorous selection process. Yeah, it's just like fuck it. Yeah, give me the poison. I don't care. Did you pull me out? El Shala asked Stirs. That was your boy. Tiny prongs all over him still. Yeah. Tuning pegs. Did you pull me out? El Shala asked Stirs. That was your boy. Stirs tilted his head at Revel. I can barely swim. He fished you out too, Hat. On the shore below, Revel had collected all the pieces of his armor and retrieved his backpack from the bottom of the river. He was uncoiling a length of rope. Get down here and help, Revel shouted up at Stirs. You still a cunt? Yellow Hat chirped. Yeah, Stirs agreed. What did you say to her? Yelled Shala. What did the bee woman say to you? El Shala asked Yellowhead. I said I would if I could. Oh, I like that. Mm-hmm. His pupils weren't. Mm-hmm. So what do I want? Uh, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. There we go. McCain had no shame. Why don't we call her the bee lady? No. Bee lady. Bee lady. What did the bee lady say to you? I like bee lady a little. It reminds me a little of like the lady in the lake. I like barely there. He stripped off his sodden, tattered clothes and laid them on the rock to dry. And still got sodden. He stripped off his tattered clothes and laid them on the rock to dry. Then he stretched himself out to dry with them, basking in the sun like a lizard. The cane had no shame. Lying wasted in the sun, Yellow Hat began to play the only instrument he'd never pawned. Oh, what's up, Kappa Votes right there? Ted presents weight management strategies. Okay, I want something like thinness but different. Let's get back to it. Mm-hmm. When was that Smiley Votes thing? All right, who's not as Nick as you get a point for that guy, yeah. gauntness. El-Shalah was shocked, not by his nakedness, but by his gauntness. There wasn't an ounce of fat on the bard. He'd smoked away everything but what he needed to get more cane. Hat didn't even see her gawking. He was leagues away. Lying wasted in the sun, Yellow Hat puckered his lips at the sky and began to whistle a tune on the only instrument he couldn't pawn. It was the only instrument he'd never pawned. All right. Gauntness is indeed good. So I like that. Well, congratulations to anybody who made it through that fucking chapter. Jesus. HQ Christ P. Anus. Oh, fuck me. It was terrible. No, puckering. Oh, actually, pursed is better. Yeah. No, you're right. I like that better. Lying wasted in the sun, Yellow Hat pursed his lips and whistled a song on the only instrument he'd never pawned. I like that. It was the only instrument he'd never pawned. Boom. The purse is more finely drawn. Yeah. All right. So you got 2 points coming at this motherfucker right there. Catching up in a hurry. What a fucking chapter. If every chapter in the book was that rough, I would just give up. Really and truly. But also like a pivotal chapter. Like most important to me is that this first book is good until they get into the RAPAXORIS. We can take all the time that it really was like. Hold on, we can see how many fucking hours this took. Before we do that, let's go to edit paste. No, hold on. Is this story thus far? Where's the save on this? All right, so I'm logged in. Oh, okay. Let's try. Let's see what happens when I save changes. Because the session may be dead. I didn't want to like. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna edit the paste before we get the fuck out of here. Mm-hmm. Oh, the dunce? Well, it's fucking easy to deal with. You just fucking devoice this dose. Up. And then just get rid of him. That's easy. I don't give a fuck about that dude. Yeah. Alright. There we go. Let me get back once again. Yeah, who gives a shit about that guy? We just literally uh, okay. So I think this is the most during the attack. A ghostly face in this. No, that's not what I want to fucking do. El Shala. Let's take a look at. Does this sum up what happens in that chapter? We don't even need in pursuit. El Shalah's party is attacked by a giant swarm of bees. El Shalah saves them. Okay. Malevolent female figure. Okay, so we'll save that there. Um, cool. So that's updated there. And then let's go back here. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, where is your synopsis? Giants. Where is the fucking elf fantasizes finds Yellow Hat naked instead? Um, yeah, man. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you see a face in the storm? El Shalah. Swarm. I keep um even in his altered state, Hat looked alarmed for a moment. It passed, melting in. I thought I was just hallucinating. Better. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you a point there, Spathy. Even though I think I caught that beforehand. Boom! You're only 1 point away from big logic. Um, yeah, I can't. I can't use your synopsis, sadly, even though it is a good one. Yeah, we don't need that. Okay. Cool. Yeah, use JW trash instead. Good God. I don't 100% know exactly what you mean there, Spathy. What? Do you mean that my synopsis is SJW trash, or did we interject some kind of weird pronoun into the story? Stirs held one end of the rope. Stirs held one end of the rope as Revel dove down with the other, comma. No, just a joke, LARPing. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure that I hadn't misgendered one of my characters here. That would be, I would commit seppuku on the spot. Uh, Working together, they strained to dredge up the boat. Hat and El Shalah watched them from the stone ridge. Did you see a face in the swarm? El Shalah asked. There was a flicker of alarm on Hat's face, but a flicker of alarm crossed Hat's face and then melted into his eye. No, that doesn't work. A flicker of alarm crossed Hat's face. I thought I was just hallucinating. You saw her? Yes. What did she say to you? Turn back, Yellow Hat said. A flicker of alarm crossed Hat's placid expression. I thought I was just hallucinating. You saw her? Yes. What did she say to you? Turn back, Yellow Hat said. Turn back, Yellow Hat said. A sing-song quality crept into his voice. The worry melted from his face. And what did you say to her? I said I would if I could, Hat said. Barely there. He seemed to forget about El Shalah entirely. Mm-hmm. I did consider you saw her too, and I just I didn't. I don't think we need to there. Let's look at both real quick. I thought I was just hallucinating. You saw her too? Yes. I thought I was just hallucinating. You saw her? Yes. Yeah, I like you saw her a little bit better. Yeah, but it's like 5.5 versus 4.5. I did not miss it. Entranced, he stripped off his tattered. Okay, cool. I like the component. So why am I doing that? I'm putting in. She wondered if she gave him too much, because I don't want him to go into a complete trance every single time. She just gave him a fat thread of cane. So that's there. Not by Hat's nakedness, but by his gauntness. There wasn't an ounce of fat on the bard. He'd smoked away everything but what he needed to get more cane. Yellow Hat didn't notice he was being gawked at. He was far, far away. Hat didn't notice he was being gawked at. He was far, far away. Lying wasted in the sun, Yellow Hat pursed his lips and whistled a song. It was the only instrument he'd never pawned. Ugh, so much better. Jesus. All right, so let's survey the fucking damage right here. Oh, this is not going to be a happy time for me. So we're to get through chapter 1.8, scant 2,000 words, right? 52 through make it to 60 for those 8 pages. And how many thousand words? 20, 24. Okay. This is not going to be fucking pretty. I can tell you already. 3 hours and 32 minutes. Okay. So, So that took 2:30, 5 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours, then another 14 hours there, and I guarantee I spent 6 hours working on this off stream. So I spent 20 fucking hours on that chapter. This is so stupid, right? And a lot of it is just like slack time where, I probably should have just knuckled down and rewritten the entire thing off of stream. But honestly, like the suggestions and everything were good. So we cannot work at a rate of 100 words per hour. It's just nonsensical. But at the same time, the qualitative difference to the work will hopefully ripple through. And like I said, absolutely cannot do that in any chapter that is not in book one. And this is absolutely why the publisher was like, yeah, I'm not taking a piece of that. If they had any idea that it would take that kind of rewriting and effort and so forth. So that's, I'm a little bit aghast that I had to spend an entire week fixing that. It's much improved. But at the same time, instead of spending 20 hours, we could have just cut that out of the fucking book. It didn't have to be there. But I like it. Let's take a look at what our next chapter is like. How long is our next chapter? So 61 through... Okay, so it's a short chapter, and it's about an encounter between fish and a pig, and he's the only character there. There's a lot of action in it, so it should be a little bit smoother sailing for the next one. All right, thank you, Spathiwa, for your help right there, and for anybody who... hopefully that is the roughest stretch of the entire book, but I doubt it, because I know that I'm going to probably rewrite the ending, which is like 60 pages long, as I recall, with a similar level of fine-toothed granularity. But anyhow, I appreciate your help on it. Some really good edits today. And guten Luck mit whatever you're up to. Finally fucking done. This shit sucks.